Welcome back to Conversations That Awaken by Joe Bandra. If you've been with us since episode 1, thank you for taking this journey with us. Over the first 10 episodes, we've questioned many of the assumptions most of us inherited without ever examining them. We've explored the nature of reality, the illusion of separation, the origins of belief, the question of God, the self-organizing universe, the fact of being, the limits of language, and the stories we tell ourselves about who we are. You may have noticed that we've returned to some of the same ideas more than once. That wasn't by accident. Some truths cannot be understood by hearing them only once. They must be approached from different angles, examined through different lenses, and reflected upon until they become your own direct insight. Repetition is not about convincing you, it is about inviting you to observe more deeply. Our purpose has never been to give you another belief system. It has always been to encourage you to examine, question, investigate, and ultimately understand for yourself. Because borrowed knowledge is information. Direct experience, on the other hand, is transformation. If you're joining us for the first time, we encourage you to begin with episode 1. Each conversation builds upon the previous one, forming a journey from questioning the world to questioning the one who believes they are separate from it. So wherever you are in the world, thank you for listening. Take a moment to become fully present. Set aside, just for a little while, everything you think you know. And together, let's question everything. I am Kim. I hope you had the opportunity to read or listen to Finding Neve by Joe Bandra. The name Neve, heaven spelled backward, symbolizes a journey of self-discovery, an inward return to the source of true happiness. It is an invitation to look beyond the stories we tell ourselves, rediscover our authentic nature, and awaken to the peace and wholeness that have always been within us.
Picture this. It's a lazy Saturday afternoon. The weather outside is just entirely uninspiring.
Oh, yeah. Like a cold, driving rain.
Exactly. Or just that flat, gray overcast that completely drains all your motivation.
Right.
So you are firmly planted on your couch, you're flipping through channels, or maybe, mindlessly scrolling through a streaming platform.
As we all do.
Right? And you stumble upon one of those classic, universally beloved antique appraisal shows.
Oh, I know the exact format. It's so comforting in its absolute predictability.
It really is. It's just, you know exactly what you're getting.
Yeah. The sprawling, brightly lit convention centers, the throngs of hopeful people clutching these family heirlooms, and of course, those incredibly serious experts sitting behind folding tables.
Yes. It's a television format that has endured for decades precisely because it taps into something so, fundamental to human psychology.
Totally.
So you tune in right at the climax of a segment. Someone is proudly marching up to the velvet-draped appraisal table.
Okay, I can picture it.
And they're hauling this incredibly heavy, ornate, slightly dusty wooden chair.
Right.
You look at their face, and the eyes tell the whole story. They are just vibrating with absolute conviction.
They've probably rehearsed the family lore 1,000 times in the car ride over.
Exactly. To them, this isn't just a piece of furniture to sit on. This is Great Aunt Mildred's priceless mid-18th century masterpiece.
In their mind, this chair is about to pay off the rest of their mortgage.
Oh, 100%. It's going to send their kids to a top-tier college. It is their golden ticket.
They are completely emotionally invested in the narrative of the object.
Yeah.
And the brilliance of the show is how the expert handles that tension.
Oh, they play it perfectly.
They do. They don't just blurt out a number, They perform a ritual.
The ritual is everything.
It's a highly choreographed, theatrical performance designed to just validate the gravity of the moment.
Right. So out come the crisp white cotton gloves.
Got to protect the finish.
Got to make sure the oils from their skin don't contaminate this precious artifact, right?
Yeah.
Then out comes the jeweler's loop.
Oh, yes.
They tilt the chair completely upside down, squinting intensely at the joinery.
Checking the dovetails.
Exactly. And they tap the wood in this highly specific, rhythmic way, like the timber itself is whispering secrets to them.
Right.
And then, my personal favorite part of the entire charade, they inexplicably lean in and deeply sniff the furniture.
The olfactory test.
Yes. Why are they sniffing it?
Well, ostensibly, they are checking for the distinct aroma of, genuine centuries-old lacquer, or perhaps detecting the mustiness of a particular historical period.
Sure, sure.
But functionally, let's be honest, it's about building the dramatic tension to an absolute peak before the revelation.
Oh, it definitely works. The tension in the room is just palpable.
Yeah.
So the expert finally completes the ritual. They slowly take off the glasses.
Dramatic pause.
Exactly. They stand back, look the hopeful owner dead in the eye, and deliver the verdict with this perfect, practiced empathy.
And what do they say?
They say, "I'm afraid this is a mass-produced factory reproduction from 1987.
Oh, brutal.
Right. And in a fraction of a second, you watch the owner's entire reality shatter.
It just crumbles.
The dream of early retirement completely evaporates into thin air.
Yeah.
Instantly replaced by a look that clearly broadcasts, would anyone in the convention center like this for firewood?
Because I really do not want to carry this heavy piece of junk back to my Honda.
Exactly. It is a devastating, yet strangely captivating microdrama.
It really is. And we watch these shows obsessively because, as a species, we find a profound, almost biological comfort in the act of assigning simple, concrete, indisputable value to things.
Because we are terrified of ambiguity.
We are. We absolutely crave the certainty of an appraisal.
We love the finality of it. I mean, think about it. The universe is incredibly chaotic, messy, and unpredictable. But in the world of the antique appraisal, everything makes sense. This incredibly ornate, hand-carved chair, $48,000.
Done. Next.
That slightly chipped, dusty vase that looks like it belongs in a garage sale, $6.
Ooh.
That weird, terrifying painting you found wrapped in a blanket in the attic, $3 million.
That's perfect. It's so clean.
It really takes a terrifyingly complex universe of objects and neatly, surgically categorizes them into a ledger.
Which makes the world feel entirely manageable.
Yeah.
You see, the human mind is fundamentally a categorizing machine. It loves a clean ledger because it reduces cognitive load.
Okay, that makes sense.
A chair having a definitive price tag is highly functional for organizing society and commerce.
Right.
The system of appraisal is a brilliant tool when applied to its proper domain.
Which is inanimate object.
Exactly. But here's where we run into a profound issue, and really the entire foundation of our discussion today.
Okay, lay it on me.
That appraisal system works brilliantly for furniture. But somewhere along our evolutionary journey, human beings developed a massive systemic software bug.
A bug that we never got a patch for.
Yeah,
And that is exactly what we are unpacking in this deep dive.
It's a big topic.
It is. We are exploring what happens when we take that comforting, clinical, white glove antique appraisal system and we turn it completely inward.
When we turn it on each other.
Yes. We're going to explore this through the lens of a truly fascinating excerpt from the upcoming book, The Nature of Realty.
Oh, it's such an incredible book.
It really is. And the author, Joe Bandra, really nails this. This text absolutely shifted my perspective
I can see why.
because it finally put words to this exhausting, low-level background noise that I think every single one of us experiences every single day.
But we rarely stop to actually look at it.
Right. So what Bandra accomplishes in Nature of Realty is a brilliant deconstruction of our most automated behaviors.
Yeah, unlike our smartphones or our laptops, which, get pushed vital software updates to patch vulnerabilities.
Right. Constantly updating.
Human biology and psychology never received an update to fix this specific evolutionary glitch.
We are essentially walking around with prehistoric, tribal, social software.
Yes, and we are trying to use it to navigate a hyper-connected, hyper-competitive modern world.
Which just doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. The result is a ceaseless, entirely involuntary compulsion to appraise other human beings.
It's wild. Think about what happens the absolute second you walk into a room.
The scanning starts.
Yes. Before you've even taken off your coat, before you have uttered a single word of greeting, your internal appraiser wakes up.
It clocks in.
It clocks in and starts running a massive diagnostic scan of the environment.
And the speed of it is staggering.
It's instantaneous.
And crucially, it is largely subconscious. You aren't consciously choosing to run this program.
Which is what makes it so pervasive and exhausting.
Right. The software just runs in the background. You step into a corporate meeting or a neighborhood block party.
Or a high school reunion. That's the worst one.
Oh, absolutely. Or even just a busy coffee shop. And the internal algorithm immediately begins calculating metrics.
It's constantly scanning the room,
Yeah.
running through this rapid-fire checklist.
Who in this room is richer than me?
Who is prettier? Who is smarter?
Who's thinner? Who is projecting an aura of being more spiritual?
And I think that last one is hilarious because we don't just appraise surface-level traits. We appraise the authenticity of the traits.
Oh, we totally do.
We scan a room and say, okay, who is actually spiritual and who is just loudly pretending to be spiritual so everyone notices?
We look at wrists, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who is wearing a Rolex?
Yeah. Let me squint a little. Is that a real Rolex, or did they buy a fake one to project status?
And then we panic about our own packaging. Am I overdressed for this gathering?
Did I underdress? Why does that group of people by the window look like they're experiencing significantly more joy than I am?
Why is everyone else apparently succeeding at life while I am just managing?
That is the ultimate panicked metric.
It is. The internal appraiser is desperately trying to calculate that. And what makes this process so deeply exhausting is that the parameters of value are not fixed.
What do you mean?
Well, they are constantly shifting based on the environment.
Oh, right.
If you walk into a high-stakes corporate boardroom, the highest value is placed on financial wealth, hierarchical title, and, frankly, ruthlessness.
Right. That's the currency there.
But if you leave that boardroom and walk into an avant-garde art gallery down the street, the currency flips entirely.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Now, financial wealth might actually be viewed with slight disdain.
Exactly. Now, the highest value is placed on cultural cachet, obscure knowledge, and creative aesthetic.
And if you leave the art gallery and walk into a hardcore meditation retreat, the currency changes again.
Yep. Now, the goal is to be the person who is the least attached to anything.
It's exhausting. Your brain is desperately, constantly trying to read the room.
It's trying to figure out what the dominant currency of that specific microculture is.
Right.
Then appraise everyone else's net worth in that specific currency.
And then figure out exactly where you rank on the totem pole.
It requires immense processing power.
It's a huge cognitive load.
You are constantly triangulating your position in a fluid hierarchy.
Okay, let's unpack this a bit more. It's like we are all walking around running our own personal, internal eBay stores.
I love that analogy.
We are taking inventory of our own traits, constantly looking at the current market value of our peers.
Right.
And bidding on our own self-worth based entirely on the people standing around us.
It's constant.
It's as if you walk into a room and you think, well, the market value for intelligence just went up because Susan walked in. She went to Harvard, so I guess my intellectual stock just plummeted.
Grace just dropped.
Exactly. We are operating an auction house in our heads, and it is open for business 24/7.
That auction house never, ever closes. Oh, the worst time for it.
Looking at curated highlight reels of other people's vacations and promotions.
Yep.
It is running when you are sitting in traffic. It is running when you are standing at the edge of the playground watching your child interact with other children.
Which explains so much. This is the precise biological reason why so many people feel a deep, bone-weary exhaustion before they have even reached lunchtime.
Exactly. You think you are tired from work.
Right.
But you are actually tired because your brain has been conducting thousands of complex comparative social appraisals since the moment you opened your eyes.
We are doing the full white glove magnifying glass antique appraisal on every single person in the grocery store checkout line.
Yes.
We're looking at what's in their cart, looking at their shoes, and ranking them. But if life was wonderfully simple as babies, exactly when and why did adults make comparison their religion?
Well, the crazy part is we aren't born with this software running.
We aren't. No. If you watch a toddler in a sandbox, they aren't looking at another baby sitting across from them and sweating over their long-term investment portfolios.
That's a funny image.
A toddler's perception of the world is blissfully free of existential comparison.
Right. They just want snacks.
They are completely grounded in the immediate physical reality of the present moment. They do not possess an abstracted concept of a self that requires external validation to exist.
They just compare toys.
Yes.
They see a brightly colored plastic block.
Huh?
They want the block. If someone else has the block, maybe they try to grab it.
Natural impulse.
Then someone steals the toy, everyone cries, the parents intervene, and 5 minutes later, it is completely over.
Forgotten.
The conflict is entirely localized, it's immediate, and it's tangible.
Yes.
There is no lingering existential threat to their core identity because they didn't end up with the blue plastic block.
Right. They don't go home and ruminate for 6 months about what losing the block means for their future career prospects. Because the toddler hasn't yet constructed an ego that depends on a social hierarchy for its very survival. Their reality is concrete.
So what happens to us?
Well, as human beings physically mature, we undergo a profound psychological shift. We take that innocent, localized, temporary desire for a physical toy, and we abstract it.
Abstracted into what?
Into this massive, invisible, lifelong framework of status, achievement, and worth.
Wow. We transition from the sandbox to the gauntlet.
The gauntlet is right.
And it seems to happen through this relentless conditioning.
Yeah.
We are taught, almost from the moment we can speak, to measure ourselves against external benchmarks.
Yes, the system demands it.
You enter the educational system, and immediately you are graded. You are ranked.
Who got the gold star today?
Right. Who got straight A's, who was chosen first for dodgeball, and who had the humiliation of being chosen last.
It starts so early.
It does. And we internalize this devastating idea that love, attention, and security are not inherent rights.
Right.
They are conditional rewards based entirely on our ranking in these arbitrary systems.
And the tragedy of adulthood is that we take that childhood conditioning and we just scale it up.
The questions become larger.
Yes, the stakes feel higher and the metrics become infinitely more complex.
Like what?
Instead of spelling B's and gold stars, we graduate to a lifelong series of comparative checkboxes. Who bought their first home earliest?
Right.
Who married a doctor who actually became a doctor?
Or who married someone who tried to become a doctor but failed organic chemistry twice and now works in middle management.
Exactly.
We create these incredibly specific, convoluted soap operas of comparison just to figure out who is ahead and who is behind.
It's exhausting, and it completely changes our internal dialogue.
How so?
Well, when we are young, the core question we ask ourselves, if we ask anything at all, is simply, who am I?
Just a genuine exploration of identity.
Right. But as we get older, that internal appraiser forcefully hijacks the narrative.
We stop asking, who am I?
Yes.
And we start obsessively, frantically asking, am I winning?
Am I winning? That question represents the fundamental corruption of the human experience.
Corruption, that's a strong word.
It is, but it fits. Because the very structure of the question implies that life is a game.
Right.
It implies a competition. It suggests that there are opponents to be defeated. But if we pause and examine the premise, we run into a glaring logical fallacy.
Which is?
What exactly are we winning?
Right. There is no scoreboard in the sky.
None.
There is no official referee blowing a whistle at the end of your life to announce the final score.
It's all made up.
Nobody actually knows what the rules of this Phantom Olympics even are, yet we're all sprinting as fast as we can, pouring our life force into it.
We are sacrificing our peace of mind, fracturing our relationships, and compromising our physical health to get ahead in a race that mathematically has no finish line.
The goalposts are perpetually attached to a moving vehicle.
That's exactly it.
Let's trace how that actually plays out in real life. Let's say you decide, consciously or subconsciously, that the metric for winning the game of life is housing.
Okay, very common metric.
Very common. So you grind. You work 50, 60 hours a week for a decade.
You save every penny.
You skip vacations, you sacrifice time with your family, and you finally buy that beautiful, sprawling house in the prestigious neighborhood.
A major accomplishment.
Huge. You sign the papers, you walk in, and you feel that massive rush of victory. You did it. You won.
That dopamine hit of accomplishment is very real, but as we know, it is notoriously short-lived.
It lasts for about 3 weeks.
If you're lucky.
Because on week 4, a new neighbor moves in right across the street, buys the empty lot, and builds a house that is 2,000 square feet larger.
Oh, no.
With custom Italian marble and a heated infinity pool.
And suddenly, without anything about your own house changing.
Nothing changed, but your massive victory suddenly feels like a crushing defeat.
Yes.
The internal appraiser looks at the neighbor's house, recalculates the market, and decides your house is now evidence of your inadequacy.
It's ruthless. And this phenomenon applies to every conceivable metric.
What's another example?
Consider the domain of transportation and status symbols.
Okay.
You achieve a significant milestone in your career, you get the big bonus, and you purchase a top-of-the-line Tesla.
Nice.
You feel a surge of superiority. You are technologically advanced, environmentally conscious, and visibly wealthy. You have elevated your status.
You're feeling good.
You are. Then you pull up to a red light, feeling quite satisfied with yourself, and a brand new roaring Ferrari pulls up in the lane next to you.
Oh, man.
In an instant, the internal appraiser fires up, processes the disparity in raw financial cost and exotic exclusivity.
And you suddenly feel inadequate sitting in your luxury vehicle.
Exactly.
It scales up infinitely. There is no ceiling to this.
There is no ceiling.
You can work your entire life to climb the corporate ladder, surviving rounds of layoffs, backstabbing, and burnout. You finally reach the summit.
You become the CEO.
You become the CEO of a Fortune 500 company. You are literally at the top of the pyramid.
You won the game.
But the ego won't let you rest there. You turn on the financial news network in your corner office, and you see that someone your exact age, who went to a rival university, just became the president of a small country.
Instantly, being CEO isn't enough.
It's madness.
It is. And we can follow that trajectory to its absolute logical extreme.
Let's do it.
Let's imagine you do become the president. You campaign for years, you endure grueling public scrutiny, and you finally secure the office.
Okay, the ultimate prize.
You have reached the absolute pinnacle of global geopolitical power. You are the commander-in-chief. By any worldly metric, you have definitively won the ultimate status game.
So you should be happy, right?
What is the reality of that experience? You open up a social media app, and there are millions of anonymous people sitting in their living rooms writing furious, vitriolic comments detailing exactly why you are a failure.
And claiming they could do a significantly better job than you.
The ego cannot be protected, even by the highest office on earth. It is a bottomless, insatiable void.
A bottomless void. I mean, you can shovel the entire world into it, and it will still echo.
Yes.
You give the ego $1 billion, it doesn't retire to a beach and relax.
Never.
It immediately looks across the harbor, sees a guy with a slightly longer yacht and $2 billion, and it feels a burning sense of resentment.
It is a disease of more.
And it's not just limited to material wealth or corporate power, is it?
Oh, no. It infects the spaces we assume are safe from it. It absolutely infects spirituality and wellness.
The spiritual ego.
The spiritual ego is perhaps the most insidious manifestation of all, precisely because it is so heavily camouflaged.
Right, because it doesn't look like an ego at first glance.
Exactly. It hides behind a meticulously crafted mask of humility and peace. You can strip away the designer clothes, the sports cars, and the corner offices.
You can send the ego to a silent meditation retreat in the Himalayas.
You can give the ego profound moments of enlightenment. But if the underlying mechanism hasn't been dismantled, the ego will simply weaponize that enlightenment. It will immediately look around and wonder if anyone noticed how incredibly present and enlightened it is.
Oh, man. It wants a framed certificate of enlightenment to hang on the wall.
Yes.
It wants followers to acknowledge its supreme state of unattachment. It's still playing the exact same game of comparison, just trading in a different currency.
Exactly the same game.
Instead of saying, my bank account is larger than yours, the spiritual ego says, I am vastly more detached from the material world than you are.
My aura is significantly clearer. I am vibrating at a much higher frequency.
It's still the exact same internal auction house at work, just selling different antiques.
Spot on.
But wait, here's where it gets really interesting, but also a bit confusing to me.
Okay, good.
I hear what you're saying about the ego being a bottomless pit, but if we completely shut down the internal appraiser, aren't we just going to sit on the couch forever?
The fear of losing our drive.
Yeah. Isn't a little competition necessary? How do we build things, cure diseases, or send rockets to Mars without that drive to be the best?
That is the ultimate panic defense mechanism of the ego.
Okay, tell me why.
When threatened with obsolescence, it claims that without it, all human progress will grind to a halt. But we have to make a crucial distinction here.
What's the distinction?
We must surgically separate the action of achieving from the psychological disease of comparing.
Separate the action from the disease. Okay, walk me through that.
The desire to build, to create, to explore the unknown, to solve incredibly complex biological or engineering problems, that is an innate, vital, and beautiful part of the human spirit.
So ambition is okay.
You can strive for absolute excellence, you can push the boundaries of medical science, or create breathtaking works of art purely for the intrinsic joy and the necessity of the work itself.
Right.
The problem is not the action of building the rocket. The problem is attaching your fundamental existential worth to the outcome of that action relative to the person standing next to you.
Ah, I see. So pouring your heart into building a rocket because you are genuinely fascinated by propulsion and you deeply want humanity to see the stars, that is pure, healthy action.
Yes.
But building a rocket specifically because you want to prove to the billionaire rival next door that your rocket is shinier, faster, and therefore you are a vastly superior human being who deserves to exist more than they do, that is the disease.
Precisely. When the primary motivation shifts from the intrinsic joy of creation to the extrinsic need for validation and superiority, You have re-entered the race with no finish line.
And this desperate, unyielding need to figure out exactly where we rank in the vertical hierarchy leads us to do something incredibly self-destructive in our daily lives, doesn't it?
It does. To manage and organize this constant, exhausting comparison, we start mentally building furniture.
Furniture.
Specifically, we start constructing imaginary pedestals.
The pedestals. This concept completely reframed how I view my own interactions.
It's a powerful framework.
We have this deeply ingrained societal belief that putting someone on a pedestal is a noble, honorable thing to do.
We think we are showing deep respect, deference, and appreciation.
Right. But when you actually break down the mechanics of it, putting someone on a pedestal is one of the greatest psychological jokes ever played on humanity.
It really is.
Because elevating them doesn't actually honor them, it fundamentally degrades you.
It is a devastating structural trap. To understand it, you just have to think about the literal physics of a pedestal.
Okay.
It is an elevated platform. A pedestal only functions, it only exists as a concept of vertical elevation if someone else is actively standing underneath it.
Mind blown.
It fundamentally requires a lower level to define its height. Therefore, the very moment you mentally elevate another human being, no matter who they are, you are not just raising them up.
You are simultaneously and instantly demoting yourself to a lower plane of existence.
Yes.
You are volunteering to be the floor. You are walking up to someone and saying, "Here, let me crouch down, make myself small, so you can stand on my back and look taller to the rest of the room."
And we do this constantly, reflexively.
We build these massive imaginary marble pillars for movie stars, for politicians, for brilliant scientists, for influential spiritual teachers.
We build them for billionaires, for professional athletes.
We do it in our own lives, with our bosses, our mentors. We even do it with family members.
We do.
We place these completely normal, biologically identical human beings on top of these pillars, and then we spend the next 4 decades of our lives wondering why our neck constantly hurts.
Why our neck hurts. It's a brilliant physical metaphor for a very real psychological strain.
It is.
Your psychological neck hurts because you have spent your entire life continuously looking up. You have structurally positioned yourself as inferior in your own narrative.
And what makes this dynamic so tragic and so difficult to break is that we constantly confuse this self-demotion with respect.
That's the crux of it. We need to clearly and carefully analyze the difference between respect and worship because they are fundamentally opposed states of being, yet we treat them as synonyms.
Let's draw a hard line between the two, because a lot of people might push back and say, wait a minute, I shouldn't respect a Nobel Prize-winning scientist. I shouldn't respect the CEO who built the company I work for.
You absolutely should. Respect is incredibly healthy. In fact, it is the bedrock of a functional, collaborative society.
Okay, so define respect.
Respect says, I deeply appreciate what you do. I acknowledge your hard-earned skill, your vast experience, or the immense responsibility you carry in this specific role.
Give me an example.
If you hire a master carpenter with 40 years of experience to build a dining table, you respect their craftsmanship.
Right.
You listen to their advice regarding the wood. You defer to their expertise in that specific domain. But, and this is the critical distinction, you do not believe their essence as a living human being is fundamentally superior to yours.
You don't believe they are more real than you.
Exactly. Worship, on the other hand, crosses that line.
What does worship say?
Worship says, because of your skill, or your wealth, or your fame, your actual existence is more valid and more important than mine.
Wow. If you view someone as more real than you are essentially abdicating your own right to take up space in the room.
You are.
You are making yourself a ghost in your own life. You are handing over your existential weight.
It is an absolute abdication of your own existence. To illustrate how to navigate this properly, consider the anecdote in the book about meeting the President of the United States.
Oh, I loved this part.
When someone who understands this dynamic was asked, were you nervous meeting the president? Did you feel intimidated? Their answer was an honest no.
Why? Most people would be terrified.
Because they understood they were not meeting the president as some mythological superhuman deity.
Right.
They were meeting another fragile, mortal human being who was temporarily playing the role of the president.
It's exactly like an actor putting on a costume for a play. Today, this specific biological human is wearing the president costume. They sit at the massive resolute desk. They sign the historical papers. They command the vast military forces.
And the role itself, the office of the presidency, deserves deep, profound respect because it carries immense weight, history, and consequence for the world.
Right. Respect the role, but the actual human being sweating inside the costume.
Tomorrow, or in 4 years, the director of time yells, "Cut!" That human takes off the costume and someone else puts it on.
The human inside just deserves basic equality. Nothing more, nothing less.
That exact distinction, maintaining profound respect for the role while holding absolute equality with the human being, is the complete antidote to the pedestal.
And when you fail to make that distinction, when you blur the role with the human essence, you engage in a behavior that is perfectly captured by this incredibly sharp airline analogy from the source text.
Oh, this analogy is so good.
It's devastating because it shows exactly how we do this to ourselves.
Walk us through it.
So it's like you walking into an airport, going up to the ticket counter, and buying someone else, maybe your boss, maybe a celebrity, a first-class airline ticket.
You buy them the reclining pod, the endless champagne.
The warm scented towels.
Huh?
And then you voluntarily take yourself, walk all the way to the back of the plane, find the absolute worst, cramped middle seat in economy class right next to the bathroom, and lock yourself in.
Just brutal.
And the truly crazy part, the celebrity didn't even ask you to do it.
They didn't know you bought the ticket.
Right. The billionaire didn't call you on the phone and say, "I demand that you view yourself as less than me today." You bought the tickets and you locked yourself in economy entirely on your own.
It is a self-imposed exile from your own intrinsic worth. We manufacture these debilitating hierarchies entirely within the confines of our own minds.
Yeah.
And because we do it so reflexively, so constantly from such a young age, we actually start to believe it is the natural order of things.
We really do.
We look at human society, operating on these brutal vertical hierarchies of status, wealth, and coercive power, and we assume that the entire universe itself must operate the exact same way.
But if we actually take a step back and look at the physical reality of the natural world, it tells a completely different and frankly hilarious story.
Nature's comedy.
I want everyone listening to really pause and think about this. We take our little human hierarchies so seriously, we ruin our health over them.
We do.
But nature looks at our pedestals, our VIP ropes, and our luxury cars and finds them absolutely absurd.
Because nature simply does not participate in hierarchy. It is a completely foreign concept to the physical universe.
Give me an example of that.
The foundational reality of the universe is stunningly egalitarian. Consider the air you are breathing right now.
Okay.
When you take a breath, the billions of oxygen atoms entering your lungs are not stratified by social class.
Right.
There isn't a velvet rope in your respiratory system separating the aristocratic blue blood oxygen atoms from the blue-collar working-class oxygen.
That's such a funny visual.
Carbon, which is the fundamental, essential building block of all known life on Earth, has never once refused to bond with another carbon atom because it felt the other atom lacked sufficient status.
A carbon atom doesn't say, "I'm sorry, I only associate with premium high net worth molecules."
Exactly.
The imagery of that is so funny to me. Just imagine the periodic table operating like a high school cafeteria or a corporate networking event.
Okay, paint the picture.
Imagine hydrogen renting out a fancy hotel ballroom, putting up a velvet rope, and hiring a bouncer.
All right.
And nitrogen walks up, trying to get in, hoping to make some connections. And hydrogen looks down at the clipboard, looks nitrogen up and down, and says, "Look, nitrogen, you're a great element, but this event is exclusive."
We are only looking to synergize with highly motivated noble gases tonight.
Yes, you don't have the right vibe, you're going to have to wait outside. It is completely absurd.
Atoms do not have egos. They don't care about their brand.
Right.
It is an absurd image, but it points to a profound, inescapable biological and physical truth. Let's trace the logic directly to human biology.
Okay, walk me through it.
Atoms do not have egos. They do not possess a sense of superior or inferior status. They simply exist, and they interact according to the unyielding laws of physics and chemistry.
Unquestionably true.
Now, we must ask ourselves, what exactly are human beings made of?
We are literally just walking, talking, incredibly complex piles of atoms, trillions and trillions of them, stitched together.
Exactly. We are entirely constructed of atoms. There is no mystical substance added in. So if our fundamental building blocks the literal matter that constitutes our bones, our blood, and the neurons in our brains do not possess an ego.
Then the ego is not a physical product of nature.
Right. You cannot put a human brain under an electron microscope and locate the superiority gland.
You cannot run a blood test and measure someone's level of inferiority.
Therefore, the logical deduction is unavoidable. The ego, the internal appraiser, the entire vertical hierarchy is entirely constructed by thought.
It is an illusion.
It is a mental overlay, and as Bandra points out, human thoughts are essentially hallucinating most of the time.
We are just collectively hallucinating our own inferiority and superiority all day long and treating the hallucination as absolute reality.
That's exactly what we're doing.
But this brings up a huge question for me.
What's that?
If we are literally just these clumps of ancient stardust, these walking collections of completely egalitarian atoms, and atoms don't care about status, how did we get so severely infected by this specific hallucination?
It's a great question.
Why is the chatter in our heads so incredibly loud, so relentless, and so violently obsessed with ranking everyone around us?
The answer lies in the evolutionary function of thought itself. Thought, by its very biological nature, divides.
Its function is to divide.
Yes. Its primary function is to categorize and analyze. To make sense of a chaotic, incredibly complex physical environment, the primitive human mind had to chop reality up into distinct, bite-sized pieces.
Right. Give those pieces labels and assign them immediate survival value.
Exactly. Hot or cold, safe or dangerous, edible or poisonous, me or the predator.
This binary categorization was absolutely essential for survival in the wilderness. You needed a mechanism to instantly appraise a rustling bush.
He did. But the tragedy occurred when that blunt, survival-based mechanism of division and appraisal was turned inward.
Turned inward on our own abstract identity.
Yes, and outward onto our complex social standing. When the tool designed to spot a tiger is used to evaluate a coworker, it creates the hallucination of the ego.
It creates the profound illusion of psychological separation.
Precisely.
Okay, so if the disease is the constant, relentless hallucination of thought, the unending chopping up, labeling, and appraising of reality, how do we break free from it?
We can't just surgically remove our brains.
Right. We have to look at what actually happens when that constant, grinding chatter simply stops.
And this is where we arrive at the absolute core of our discussion today.
Yes, relying heavily on Joe Bandra's insight from the nature of reality.
This is the pivot point. This is where Bandra moves from meticulously diagnosing the mechanics of the illusion to revealing the stark, quiet reality that exists beneath the hallucination.
Right, because Bandra introduces this very specific, almost cinematic moment in time. He details that on April 15th, 2020, at exactly 4:18 in the morning, something astonishing happened to him.
4:18 a.m.
And what is so compelling about how he describes this is what didn't happen. It wasn't a fireworks show. The heavens didn't part. He didn't suddenly levitate or win the lottery.
No, it was the exact opposite of an explosion.
Thought simply stopped. And he's very careful to emphasize the mechanics of this. It didn't start because he violently fought it.
It didn't stop because he gritted his teeth, forced himself into a lotus position, and meditated harder and more aggressively than anyone else.
It just spontaneously fell silent.
That distinction regarding effort is absolutely critical. You cannot use thought to stop thought.
It's like trying to smooth rough water by hitting it with a flat iron.
Right, you only create more turbulence. You cannot aggressively fight the ego because the act of fighting is just another favored activity of the ego.
Because a fight implies there is an opponent.
Which means there is a competition to win, which validates its own existence. What Bandra described experiencing at 4:18 is a spontaneous, complete dropping of the mechanism itself.
A total cessation of the internal evaluating chatter.
And the insight that emerged from that profound silence is the direct antidote to the exhaustion we have been discussing.
So, when that heavy, exhausting machinery of comparison finally powers down, what is the reality that remains? What was the deep insight that hit him in that silence?
With the definitive end of thought came the total, instantaneous disappearance of comparison.
It's just gone.
Gone. Because comparison inherently requires two things. It requires an isolated me and a separate you.
Right.
And it requires a mental measuring tape to determine the distance between them. When thought falls silent, the measuring tape simply vanishes. Without the measuring tape, the entire illusion of superior and inferior dissolves into nothingness. What remained in that room was only life itself, experiencing itself without labels.
And the realization that emerged was breathtakingly simple.
It is a realization that completely dismantles the internal eBay store, permanently.
The realization, which sounds so incredibly simple but carries the weight of a sledgehammer, was this. No one is better than me. I am no better than anyone else.
No one is better than me. I am no better than anyone else.
It eradicates the entire vertical hierarchy that humanity has tortured itself with for millennia.
And replaces it with absolute, unbroken horizontal equality.
Let that sentence really sit with you for a second. It levels the entire playing field of human existence. But I have to be completely honest here.
Sure.
When I first read that sentence, my initial reaction wasn't immediate bliss.
It rarely is.
It was actually a profound sense of letdown. It felt like a balloon slowly deflating.
Why is that?
Because we spend decades, our entire adult lives, building this heavy, elaborate armor. We go into debt to get the prestigious degrees.
We carefully curate the perfect wardrobe.
We spend hours tweaking our social media profiles to project success, all to build this massive, legally binding case for why we are special.
Why we stand out, why we matter more than the person next to us.
And to have all of that exhausting work stripped away and rendered meaningless in one sentence, it really stings.
It stings the ego deeply. And Bandra is incredibly perceptive about this psychological reaction.
What does he say?
He states explicitly, the ego absolutely hates that sentence. It recoils from it as if it were a physical burn.
Because the ego wants to be special.
The ego has spent your entire life campaigning for a single defining message. It desperately wants to hear the universe whisper, you are the chosen one.
It wants to be the unique protagonist of reality. It wants to be Neo waking up in the Matrix, or Luke Skywalker discovering his destiny.
It wants to be fundamentally separated from the masses by its extraordinary innate qualities. So when the profound silence of reality finally speaks, and instead of handing over a crown, it simply says, you're everyone, the ego feels robbed.
It feels violated. You're everyone. It is exactly like watching a movie your whole life, assuming you are the main character, and suddenly realizing you're just part of the beautiful, sprawling landscape in the background.
To an ego that is addicted to being special, that realization doesn't sound like freedom. It sounds like a demotion.
It sounds like you're being permanently relegated to economy class.
But that specific feeling of disappointment is the necessary threshold you must cross to find actual freedom.
The disappointment is necessary.
Yes. The ego's frantic desire to be special is not a superpower. It is a maximum security prison. Because maintaining that illusion of specialness requires constant, unending, exhausting effort.
It requires the internal appraiser to work triple overtime, constantly monitoring for threats to your status.
When you finally accept the reality that you are simply everyone, you are instantaneously relieved of the crushing burden of proving your worth to the universe. You are finally allowed to just exist.
But this brings us right back to the panic button. When faced with this absolute equality, the ego throws up its ultimate defense mechanism.
The biggest objection.
It's the loudest objection I hear when discussing this. Okay, fine. If I'm not special, if I am literally no better than the person sleeping on the street and the billionaire is no better than me, why should I do anything at all?
Why bother?
Why should I get out of bed? Why build a company? Why write a book? Why not just give up?
It is known as the why bother paradox. It is the immediate, terrified, intellectual objection to the concept of true equality.
Because it assumes that the only possible motivation for human action is a desire for superiority.
Right. And Bandra has a brilliant counter-argument to this panic.
He does. He equates asking, why should I accomplish anything if we are all equal, to asking, well, if everyone on Earth breathes oxygen, why bother becoming a great pianist?
Which perfectly highlights the logical absurdity of the objection. Breathing oxygen is the fundamental baseline condition for biological existence. Everyone does it.
What doesn't make you special, unique, or superior?
But does the undeniable fact that everyone breathes oxygen somehow invalidate the profound beauty of playing the piano?
Does it make composing a symphony pointless? Of course not.
The act of creating music is an expression of the joy of life, not a desperate competition for the right to breathe.
This was the major aha moment for me. The thesis here is that greatness, ambition, pushing yourself, achieving incredible things was never the problem. Pursuing excellence is wonderful.
Comparison is the problem. Using greatness as a weapon is the problem.
Yeah.
Exactly. Bandra is not advocating for nihilism, apathy, or sitting in a cave staring at a wall.
He is not saying you should abandon your dreams or lower your standards.
In fact, he explicitly encourages vibrant, dynamic action. Build magnificent, towering buildings. Write beautiful, heartbreaking books.
Spend 20 years in a lab inventing life-saving medicines. Compose complex symphonies. Run ultramarathons.
Engage with the physical and intellectual world in the most intense, passionate way possible. Express your unique biological and creative talents to their absolute maximum capacity.
Do all of it. you are fully encouraged to participate in the richness of life.
Just don't use those accomplishments as currency to prove you deserve to exist.
Don't build the magnificent building just so you can stand on the penthouse balcony and look down at the people on the sidewalk.
Don't invent the medicine so you can demand worship and a Nobel Prize to validate your ego.
Build the building because humanity needs shelter and architecture is beautiful. Invent the medicine because suffering exists and you have the mind to alleviate it.
When the motivation successfully shifts from the egoic, desperate need for validation to the pure, unadulterated joy of expression and contribution, action itself transforms.
It becomes effortless, fluid, and joyful, rather than strained, fearful, and prone to burnout.
Bandra brings in this beautiful nature metaphor to really hammer this concept home.
Oh, the rose metaphor. Let's hear it.
He says, a rose never competes with another rose. It just blooms.
Think about the physical reality of that. You never walk into a sprawling botanical garden and see a red rose sweating, hyperventilating, trying to look significantly redder than the yellow rose planted next to it.
It doesn't suffer from imposter syndrome.
It just absorbs the available sunlight, takes in the water from the soil, and expresses its biological roseness to the absolute maximum of its genetic ability.
But leave it to human beings to walk into that peaceful garden and immediately turn it into the Olympics.
We are the Olympic gardeners of the universe. We walk into the magnificent, diverse garden of human existence, armed with our clipboards, our stopwatches, and our rigid measuring tapes.
We walk up to one person and say, this human is slightly taller and makes more money. First place, gold medal.
We walk up to another and say, this human has a slight blemish, a failure on their resume, last place, disqualified.
We forcefully impose our hallucinatory, rigid hierarchies onto a natural world that is simply expressing itself in infinite, beautiful variety.
The roses are not competing in a tournament. They're just participating in the existence of the garden.
I want to connect this directly to you, the person listening to this right now.
Yes, take a deep breath and think about your own ambitions. Think about the heavy projects you are carrying right now, your career path, your financial goals for the next 5 years.
Ask yourself this diagnostic question with brutal honesty.
Are you building your career or striving for that promotion because you genuinely love the physical act of building, because you find the daily work fascinating, engaging, and useful?
Or are you chronically exhausted, burned out, and anxious because you are secretly using your career to try and scrape together enough money to buy a first-class ticket in the human appraisal auction?
Are you trying to naturally bloom, or are you desperately trying to win the gardening Olympics?
Answering that diagnostic question honestly can completely change the trajectory and the physical sensation of your life.
Because the moment we truly realize at a cellular level that we don't have to compete to justify our basic right to exist, the entire universe starts to look and feel profoundly different.
The heavy blanket of exhaustion begins to lift. The frantic internal appraiser finally starts to pack up its magnifying glass, take off its white cotton gloves, and go to sleep.
So let's synthesize this whole incredible journey we've been on. Let's look at the arc of it.
We spend our entire lives practically from the moment we leave the sandbox, enter school, completely exhausting ourselves.
We run on this infinite accelerating treadmill, frantically trying to become special.
Trying to accumulate enough money, enough social status, enough prestigious titles, or even enough spiritual brownie points to finally feel secure in our own skin.
We are screaming into the void, demanding validation.
Yeah.
While existence itself, the universe, nature, reality, whatever name you want to give it, has been quietly, patiently whispering all along.
You already belong.
It is the great tragic paradox of the human search for meaning and security. We are desperately, frantically seeking something we have never actually lost.
We are exhausting ourselves trying to earn a membership to a club that we were born into. You already belong to the universe simply by virtue of existing.
There is no application required for life. I love that phrasing so much. No application required.
Think about the relief in that.
There is no celestial interview panel waiting in a boardroom to judge your resume. You don't need a certain number of followers or a specific net worth to justify taking up space.
You don't need a blue verification check mark from the universe.
You don't need a beautifully framed enlightenment diploma hanging on your office wall to prove you are a worthy participant in reality.
Life never asked you to become extraordinary. It only ever invited you to notice that you were never separate from it in the first place.
Which brings us to the most practical, actionable piece of advice for you to take into tomorrow morning. Because this isn't just philosophy, It is a practice.
When you wake up tomorrow, before your feet even hit the floor, your internal appraiser is going to wake up too.
It's a deeply ingrained habit. It's going to reflexively grab its clipboard, put on its gloves, and get ready for another busy, exhausting day of scanning, categorizing, and grading humanity.
It's going to whisper, okay, let's check social media immediately. Let's see who's doing better than us today. Let's worry about our outfit.
When that inevitably happens, when you feel that heavy prehistoric software booting up in your chest, you have a choice. Bandra suggests you don't fight it.
Don't get angry at yourself for having an ego. Just smile at it with genuine compassion and tell it to take the day off.
Just say, not today. The auction house is closed.
Because when the auction house finally closes, you are able to see reality clearly, perhaps for the first time. You realize the beautiful, poetic truth that concludes Bandra's insight.
There are no antiques to appraise here.
No antiques, no first place, no last place.
There are just billions of walking galaxies made of ancient stardust, all pretending to be separate from one another.
All putting on elaborate costumes, building heavy marble pedestals, and running in frantic circles, while the universe quietly, compassionately laughs at the whole magnificent, absurd performance.
It is a profound, life-altering shift in perspective. You transition from being trapped in a frantic, unwinnable race to being a willing, joyful participant in a magnificent shared performance.
It really is the ultimate liberation.
And I want to leave you, the listener, with one final provocative thought to mull over as you go about the rest of your day, as you step away from this deep dive.
Think about the very next person you are going to physically interact with today.
It doesn't matter who it is. Maybe it's your incredibly demanding boss. Maybe it's your spouse sitting in the next room. Or maybe it's just the barista handing you a cup of coffee down the street.
Vividly imagine that upcoming interaction.
What would it actually look like? What would it physically feel like in your body if, for just 5 minutes, you completely drop the heavy illusion that one of you is more valuable than the other?
If you fired the internal appraiser, put away the white gloves, and stop looking for the invisible price tag hovering over their head.
What would you actually say to them?
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who might benefit from the conversation. Your support helps us continue exploring the deepest questions of life, consciousness, and reality. I am Julia Carter, and it is my honor to introduce Jo Bandra, author, philosopher, speaker, healthcare technology pioneer, and lifelong explorer of life's questions. Through his writing, Jo bridges science, philosophy, psychology, spirituality, and direct experience in a search for truth. His first book, Finding Nevaeh, is a transformative journey of self-discovery and the search for lasting happiness. His second book, Body, Mind, and Machine, chronicles his remarkable career and the evolution of healthcare technology. His next book, The Nature of Reality, explores consciousness, existence, and the mysteries at the heart of human experience. Jo's work invites us to look beyond what we think we know and awaken to a deeper understanding of ourselves and the universe we inhabit.
Life often feels like an endless list of tasks, constant noise and distractions, pulling us in every direction. We're all searching for happiness, but what if we've been looking in the wrong places all along?
This was Nevaeh's journey. Lost in the noise, she felt cut off from the peace and happiness she longed for. Until she met Jo Bandra, an unconventional, insightful philosopher with a different perspective. Jay, as he is simply known, didn't hand her a map. He gave her something far more valuable, a compass, a way to turn inward, navigate her own thoughts, and uncover the clarity hidden beneath the chaos.
Readers around the world have been touched and inspired by Finding Nevaeh.
Your journey to inner peace begins now. Get your copy of Finding Nevaeh, available on Amazon and at findingnevaeh.org, or listen to the audiobook on Audible, Spotify, Apple, and other platforms.